Okay, there we go. And we can go ahead and get started. I am so excited. Thank you, everybody, for being here. My name is Dr. Carol Salva, and I work for Seidlitz Education, and I am joined by my esteemed colleague, Larry Ferlazzo. We are so grateful for Larry for being here. We are your hosts each quarter for the practical tips from Seidlitz Education. So you can learn more about us. You're going to get resources today, and the links about Larry and myself will be in there where you can hear more about it. So, about us and our backgrounds and links on how to connect with us. But we want to just get right off the ground and get started. So I do want to let you know that this is going to be about 30 to 35 minutes, maybe 40 minutes, and then we're going to stop recording. Everybody will get a recording and replay, email. Also, you will get a copy of the slide deck, and the slide deck is linked. So you don't have to take notes. We'll drop some links in the chat, but all of those will be linked in the slide deck that you get. And you're welcome to share that with anybody in the world. So people that registered or didn't register can get that as well if you want to share that forward. I want to go ahead and just turn this over to one of my favorite people, who is my colleague and my co-author, Anna Mattis. But I'm going to tell you a little bit about Anna first. A lot of you already know Anna. She doesn't need a lot of introduction if you know us. She is our Chief Production and Marketing Officer. So we get to hear all the time that our books are so beautiful and user-friendly, and we agree. And that is Anna's department. She is the Chief Product and Marketing Officer. So she's also a world languages consultant for Seidlitz Education. She's on our leadership team, and her love of languages really it stems from her childhood experiences, where she was an immigrant and an ESL student from Budapest, Hungary. I'm just so impressed with Anna always. She speaks multiple languages, so she is passionate about second language acquisition, just like so many of us. Um, and just for all ages and just putting that into your pedagogy is so important to her. And I know how passionate she is because she is my co-author. She's not just our world languages head of our world languages. She is intimate has intimate knowledge about how to help ESL teachers because of her background. And some of you know her name also because she is my co-author for Boosting Achievement. She and I became authors together many years ago. So I have such a special place in my heart for Anna. Um, and I'm so happy that she is going to be telling you a little bit more. She has also her other books like Seven Steps to a Foreign Language Classroom. So you'll get a link to learn a lot more about Anna as well. And she's going to tell us a little bit about what's working. So Anna, can I just hand it to you or should I just keep gushing about you?
I mean, obviously B, but I'll go ahead and take it over from you, Carol. Thank you so much. You're just so kind and generous, and I wouldn't be the person that I am without you. And that is just so, so true. And I'm always so grateful. So thank you for that incredibly sweet introduction. So this is a really exciting topic for me about what's working. Many of you know about it, but some of you don't, what we're going to be talking about today. What's Working is the title of the Seidlitz Education's annual conference. It's something that began in 2016 in Houston. And so if you're doing the math right, we're about to come up on our 10-year anniversary of having this amazing conference. So it's something that started out as just a venue to showcase what teachers and educators and instructional specialists around Texas are doing to serve their English learners and their multilingual learners. And then somehow, whether it's by word of mouth or just by us as Seidlitz consultants expanding our work and moving nationally, we've moved beyond borders. And it's not just Texas teachers that we feature, but also teachers from around the country. We've changed titles a little bit. We've moved from English language learners to multilingual learners. And that just kind of goes with the nature of what we do as a company. We evolve, so we're there to meet the needs where they're at. What's really exciting about this is that we make these connections. We get to learn from each other when we're together in Texas. We change the city around every single year, but this January one is coming up in Houston. And I'm going to follow up with you towards the end with a little bit more details about that. But how this ties into what we're doing today. So I mentioned that we've been expanding to feature educators from across the nation. And one of those educators happens to be Merica Clinkenbeard, who's coming, I think now this will be her fourth time present at What's Working. And it's because her and her colleagues are just doing show-stopping work and really moving the needle for serving English learners in their community. So it's going to be my honor to get to introduce her. Now, she is the Director of English Language Development for Springfield Public Schools. She is in Missouri, and she's also president of the National Association for English Learner Administrators, NIELPA. Am I pronouncing that correctly? It's been NELPA, NIELPA, NIELPA. We're going to go with it. All right. Merica is also a certified K through 12 Spanish and ESL educator, and she has an Ed.D. in instructional leadership. Her research focuses on how districts prepare mainstream teachers to serve English learners. So her background couldn't be more fitting for exactly what What's Working is. And so you're going to be hearing some of her top strategies in working with our content teachers and what they need to know about working with English learners. So to lead this conversation is none other than our sweet friend, Larry. So Larry, when you're ready, you can take it away.
Great. Well, again, I'd like to welcome everybody to this webinar. Uh, I retired this past summer, and this is the first Christmas in 23 years that I'm not exhausted. So I suspect many of you may be feeling that way. So we're glad that you could take the time to be part of this. And this topic, I think, has always been really important to me. At my old school, a priority for our administrators and who were supported by their teachers, our teachers, was that we always really recruited English language learners. I mean, especially during the No Child Left Behind times when schools wanted to divest themselves of ELLs because of low test scores, we really recruited them under the perspective is the more ELLs that we had in all of our classes, the better teaching for everybody. Because good ELL teaching is better teaching for everybody because it challenges teachers to make their content more accessible. And especially now, another reason why I think this topic is very important is, as you're all aware, newcomer numbers are down nationally. And that's probably going to continue for the next few years during the Trump administration, and what's happening is that schools may be reducing the numbers of their specific newcomer classes, and more ELLs are going to be parachuted into mainstream regular classes. And teachers are not going to be prepared without the kind of support that we're talking about today. So what I wanted to start off with is asking Merica is, so many teachers are feeling overwhelmed now. And how do you talk to teachers to get them to see that making their content accessible to ELLs will result in their content being more accessible to their English proficient students too? So how do you see it, and how do you get them to see that it's in their self-interest to even think about this idea of making content accessible to ELLs?
Yeah, so Larry, first I want to acknowledge that content teachers are not wrong to feel overwhelmed. I think in districts across the country, content teachers are asked to do more and more with less time. So I just want to acknowledge that for all of our teachers out there. And so from the very beginning, we in our district and in our department, we were very intentional that we were not going to add anything new to our teachers. So that was what's most important. And so when it came to looking at how we were going to ask our content teachers to support our multilingual learners while they were in the classroom, we wanted to make sure that we weren't adding anything else to their plate, because that is not what we wanted to do. And we knew that that would not be, the way to approach teachers. So our district had a very strong focus on Tier 1 instruction. It grounded in Marzano. So instead of creating a separate set of things for teachers to do, we just decided that we would optimize what teachers were already doing. And that's what I have in this graphic here. That's really my whole philosophy and everything I do in programming, as I look to utilize what's already happening and how can we optimize that for best academic performance for our multilingual learners. And in our district, that was tier 1 instruction. That's why we chose as a department to anchor our work in the 7 steps for a language-rich classroom. It's aligned seamlessly with Marzano, which is what our district was doing, and it lived in tier 1 instruction. So it emphasized practices that the teachers were already doing. So we weren't going in there asking teachers to do anything different. And that is what that's what our win was. And so we started small and we just launched onto what our teachers were already doing.
So what is like an elevator pitch? So let's say I'm a teacher in your district and you're saying, you're going to have more ELLs in your class this year, and it's going to help you to have ELLs in your class. Okay. So, you're telling me that, what is your response? How would you talk to a teacher who's a little incredulous at that perspective?
We really approach it by just talking about strategies that are going to increase student engagement and structure conversations. Multilingual learners don't really have to enter the conversation in the beginning, even though we know that is who it's going to benefit. And when we can get those strategies in front of teachers and we can get those strategies in their classrooms, then it really sells itself. And that's what we found out.
So
For
what's
us,
one of those
yeah,
what's one of those strategies
one
that
of those
has been
strategies.
effective, that has caught maybe the quote unquote mainstream teachers' attention, that it's helped ELLs and English proficient students?
Well, we started with what our students were already facilitating a lot of discussion. And so we looked at, okay, we're going to look at how they structure that conversation and how they structure that discussion in their classrooms. So for us, we wanted to help them make language more explicit and strengthen what they were already doing. And for that, I would have to say QSSSA would be the strategy that has been most effective in our district.
So
And
QSSSA.
QSSA, and I believe we have a slide for that as well for our participants. Um, if you have heard of the strategy QSSSA, could you put a thumbs up or a Y in the chat? And whoever's monitoring the chat, just kind of give me
A fair number of people.
Lots of
Lots of people are
whys.
saying yes.
a lot. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
There are a lot. I mean,
Nice.
people can also put a no because it's
Yeah.
exciting to see something new.
Yeah. So teachers were already asking questions in the classroom. So we weren't going in saying, you need to start posing questions in your classroom. Um, it was more about the process of being intentional of what you were asking and how you were structuring it. When the teacher poses a question and gives the students time to think, a signal for them when they're ready to respond, it doesn't mean they have the answer. It just means they're ready to talk to someone. And then the STEM is so that the students are responding in the academic language of the content. They're talking with a partner. And the turn and talk isn't just a turn and talk. It's so that students can build on ideas. And then the assessment is so that the teacher can assess how the students are building on their ideas in the moment. So for English learners, this is a very powerful strategy because it lowers the language barrier by providing that STEM. And students know it's being asked. So it lowers that language barrier, but it does not lower the academic rigor of what's being done in the classroom. and they're supported in how they respond academically.
What's the biggest challenge that you have seen or heard in making this work? And maybe you can share, and also people in the chat could also share their experiences, the biggest challenge and how to overcome them.
I think at the very beginning, there were some teachers that said, "Will I already do this?" And I welcome that question because I think that's a good sign because again, we're building on what you're already doing. I mean, that's my whole stance. That's my philosophy. So if they say, "Well, I'm already doing this," great. Let me show you how we can do this and support your multilingual learners in the classroom. And while we're at it, support many other students that are in your classroom. So it builds on what teachers already do. So that shift isn't asking better questions. It's just making sure students have more access in answering the questions. And once they see that the difference between a few people, a few students answering and all the students answering, then that's when the teacher will have that aha moment in the difference between I already do this and oh, this is just a better way of structuring the questions in my classroom.
One person in the chat is saying, well, there are a couple of issues. One saying having young newcomer students understand what to do. I would think one way to deal with that is to maybe have an explanation of the process in their home language to be able to give to them in writing. I don't know. And Michelle Shure is saying it's easy to rush a QSSA and miss an important step. Yeah.
I agree with Michelle. QSSSA, I think is a very deep strategy, and strategies are tools, and we need to remember that. And they're tools that we need to learn to use as teachers, and they're tools that our students need to learn to use. Often it's good to start with something that's non-content so that we learn to use them. I know that we have been coached in our district to show students, here is the script. Dr. Salva will show us this when she comes and works with our district. She shows the students what she's doing. She opens the book and says, here is the script. This is what I'm doing. So the students understand this is a tool. This is what we're using. This is how we're helping you structure a conversation. And that's what I love about these strategies is it puts the student in the center.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what's most important. And this is not just a strategy. Like I said, you can go very deep. That key concept that you're putting on the question, that's very intentional. And it's a processing strategy. And processing is something that is often missed in all of our classrooms. And so when you can be very intentional on that key concept, and if that's something where you can already put something that students know, okay? And then that turn and talk, that's where they build on ideas, but that STEM, where you put that target language, that's where you have new information. And when students can connect new information to something they already know, that's where that learning actually happens. That's where processing happens. And so sometimes when people look at this, they may think it's very simple, but it's not. It can be very complex as far as learning, as far as the science of learning. And that's what I love, love, love about this strategy. But you can start with it with teachers with non-content, because as a teacher, you need to learn. You're a facilitator of learning, and you're helping the students facilitate the strategy as well.
Janice says in the chat, you got to make sure to remember to give the sentence frames. That could be,
Yes,
when
you
you don't have
do.
sentence frames, that'd be a problem. And then Amy is saying that she thinks it's important to have teachers write these ideas in their lesson plans so they don't forget about them. So they love the idea, but execution can be minimal. That's like me in the pickleball court. I got a lot of great plans, but my execution leaves something a lot to be desired sometimes. So,
I love it that she said that. We are doing that. Who brought that up?
Amy.
Amy. Thank you for saying that, Amy. We are now in our district writing QSSSAs in all of our district curriculum. So I have two lead team members in my department that work directly with our curriculum department, and we are writing QSSSAs in all the district curriculum. And the content teachers are coming back to us saying, thank you, that saves us. Because they love using them. But when we can help write them in the curriculum for them, it just saves them that much more time. And they love that we can do that for them.
Great. Can you share another ELL strategy another strategy that makes content accessible to ELLs, but also content more accessible to English proficient students?
I can. I would have to say, I mean, I think it's really unfair that you made me dwindle it down to two. But I chose the what to say when you don't know what to say. I think this is one of the most impactful strategies. It's a life skill. I don't call it a strategy, I'll call it a life skill. It's explicitly teaching students what to say when they don't know what to say. Again, let's see from our participants, how many have you have heard of this strategy and or use this strategy already? Let's get a little bit of a feel. Put a Y, yes. Heard of it, yes, yes,
Lots of yeses.
yes. And there's a continuum of this, right? We still go into a lot of classrooms and see a lot of spaces where the poster's up. But to really use it intentionally, we want the students to use it. Again, this is a student-centered strategy, is why I love it so much. For our multilingual learners, it reduces that anxiety and removes the language barrier for participation. But teachers quickly see that it benefits everyone. There's no opt-out for answering. It gives students that think time, that processing time that we talked about again. And even our high achieving students, they are learning to respond more precisely. And teachers appreciate it because it builds the confidence in their students. It increases participation. We've heard that from our teachers. And it supports academic language in our students because they're given that time to maybe think, ask a partner, look for more information. A lot of our classes will co-create some of these posters. I've put some here that are from our district. The one in the middle is a sideless what to say instead of I don't know in the middle. And then the one on the left is from might be one of our middle school classrooms. I don't remember. And the one on the right is one of my favorites because it's from one of our kindergarten classrooms. And this teacher goes through this every morning, and these kindergartners use this. 40 kindergartners, I believe, are in this. They team teach, but 40 kindergartners.
Cool. I want to go back to QSSA for a second.
Yes.
One of the people in the chat said that some of the content teachers think that it's too simple for them to use with English proficient students. So what would you say to a content teacher who says, this says that?
I do think something gets too simple, but that means they're not understanding how complex the strategy can be. And by complex, I don't mean complex to use it, but complex in all the strategy has to offer. It's as I was explaining before, it literally exemplifies the science of learning. You can put a question up there that activates background learning. The signal is gives time students to process and to come up with an answer. That STEM, you're providing new information. That is where students are given the academic language in the content. And that is when learning occurs, when students can apply new information to something they already know. And so I just encourage you to keep educating the teachers. If you can find some ways to model the strategies. Sometimes the word model strategies in a classroom doesn't go over well. We're trying to find better language for that. So if any of you have any suggestions, please put it in the chat. If you have ways of demonstrating some of these strategies for teachers, to have them have that shift in their own thinking, because that's what has to happen. It is an amazing tool, but it does have to be implemented in a way that increases the learning.
And have you seen it used in all grade levels or
Yes,
yes?
yes.
Okay.
I've seen it used kindergarten through seniors. I've seen it used for multilingual learners. When we have trainings, we have staff come from our gifted programs, from our special ed programs, from just our regular content area programs. We have classrooms district-wide using these strategies.
And Nancy is suggesting one way to do it is to have more rigorous stems. That's one way to differentiate.
Yeah,
Hmm. Cool.
thank you.
Well, yes, and Carol's saying she's seen it used in gifted and AP classes to extend their
Absolutely.
learning as well.
Absolutely.
Well, great. Well, these are great strategies, both for talking to content teachers and for strategies that they can actually use in the classes. Um, Anna, do you want to take it from here?
I sure can. I've got to go there. Okay.
And thank you, Merica.
Thank you.
I just want to remind before Anna starts talking, wrapping us up, that all the slides you have seen are going to come to you. We have it on the last slide also, but they'll already be hyperlinked. And Merica's Padlet has so much more from Merica. And we just appreciate you sharing a couple of the 7 steps and the magic that's happening in your district because how you're working with teachers. Anna, so that was this slide, but Anna, I'm gonna let you take it back.
Yes, definitely. So, some of you I know are also here for strategies. The goal of these webinars is to give you something that you can take away and use immediately. Now, I know we only have 3 days left of the school year for most school districts, but you could still implement one of these tomorrow, I guarantee it. But what we've done is the 4 of us have come together and we've compiled a list of some of our favorite strategies that we use for content teachers. I'm going to just say a little bit about the one that I wrote. Larry's going to do the same. Carol's going to do the same. And then when we conclude the webinar and we go into Q&A mode that won't be recorded, we'll have some more time and to go deeper into each of these strategies for those of you that either may not be familiar with them or you might want to share your experience with some of these if you have used them yourselves with your students. So I will go first. My absolute favorite strategy for English learners, world language learners, content area students in the content area classroom is a strategy called roving paragraph frames. Now, if you've been at a Sidelets education training, then this, I almost guarantee you've gotten to experience this. I had the distinct pleasure of writing up the strategy for the first time in one of our books in Carol and I's publication, Boosting Achievement, when it came out in 2018. And the reason this is my bang for my buck strategy is because it includes listening, speaking, reading, and writing. And again, I'll go a little bit more in depth into it when we're offline. But if you haven't experienced this, there's a link there, a blog post by Kristen Fody, who is a teacher that's followed us for a while and has implemented this in her classroom. And you can see why why roving paragraph frames just work so well with any level of your learner. And we have scaffolds in place for those students because you might be wondering, well, what if I have a newcomer? What if I have students that don't know how to write? We have scaffolds for you to be able to implement this interactive strategy with your students. So I look forward to talking a little bit more about that. But Larry, go ahead and share yours.
So I'll briefly share my 3 favorite strategies, and then we'll talk about it after the webinar is over. One is peer tutoring, and that can either take the place of having a buddy with an English proficient buddy who would work with an ELL student in your class. Or what we did in our school is we actually had peer tutoring as a class so that 12th graders would come into the class and get credit for literally being a peer tutor and sitting with ELL students during the class. Second one is writing frames, which are extended sentence starters. And structures are more that have provide guidance on how to write. For example, ABC, answer the question, back it up with evidence, explain in the comment how the evidence supports your opinion. And then finally, the jigsaw, where students are, a topic is divided, either a topic's divided, autobiography of Lincoln between family and challenges and Civil War, or sections of a text are divided among groups. And it's easy there to differentiate, to give, for example, English language learners the shorter text area, or the easiest place, the easiest area to research if you're doing it on a topic. So those are a quick synopsis of my three favorite strategies, and we can talk more about it in the second half hour.
And they took all mine.
Uh,
I love QSSSA, and then so many of these writing personalizes the learning. Thank you, Larry. Roving paragraph is such a favorite. But so I decided to share two of the things that made a difference. The biggest difference for me initially was creating a social contract. And Anna and I included that in the Boosting Achievement of Life book, and we cited capturing kids' hearts. I have a blog post here that cites them also when you get the resources, and it tells you exactly how to do it. But it's, instead of rules for my classroom, it's co-constructing the norms with the students in a structured way so that you can keep coming back to it. And when I walk in and out of classrooms, you can just tell where students have bought in to how they're going to treat each other and how they respect the learning and all of those things. And a lot of times that has to do with how, if they own that classroom, and its social contracts are very helpful for that. And I'll talk more about that. Also, echo and choral reading of the objectives, making sure that we check a box in each lesson for oracy that includes, and not dumbing it down, but having the academic language with the syntax and the structure. Everybody at different levels, even your highest kids, get something out of that. Not just read with me, but I'm going to say it like a scientist, and I'd like us all to say it. This is our language that we're going to be using today. Those are two big favorites of mine that teachers don't generally push back on. And we can continue to show them how powerful they are. And we'll talk more about it if you want in the second part. I'll give it back to Anna now.
Thank you so much. Okay. So the moment you've been waiting for, not really, but maybe it is, who knows? So that you can find the link to register for our What's Working if it's something that you are interested in joining us for. It's the last Thursday of January. It's almost like our election day. It is the last Thursday of January. We try to stick true to that. It's going to be a fun celebration. Like I said earlier, it's the 10th anniversary of us coming together and being able to celebrate what educators from across the nation are doing to really help English learners in the field. It's in Houston, Texas. I can help you out with any logistics that you need. Myself and my esteemed colleague Allison Hand are coordinating the conference. We have speakers. I think we have 20 speakers lined up, a lot of homegrown in Texas, but a lot coming nationally. We have a wonderful group of newcomer students from here in Spring Branch ISD that have gone through the newcomer program, a lot of which was with our strategies, and have been successful. And they're going to be able to share their stories with you, as well as one of our employees who is actually on stage as a What's Working panelist in his youth, and now he works for us. So it really just is such an inspiring day to get together and to learn. The other thing I wanted to touch on, though, and I know we're going to delve into the strategies in a little bit, but Larry mentioned that peer tutoring is one of his favorite strategies. I wanted to mention that we've now had 2 different Sideless Education books that were born out of our newcomers that were on stage speaking to the group. One of the books, it's called 17 Stories. It's by a teacher named Steve Davidson, person in the San Antonio area. And his story came about because he started a peer tutoring group specifically for English learners there on campus in San Antonio. And these students just went on to do the most amazing things. And so they came and joined us. This was about 2019, and we're our keynote speakers for What's Working. And now they've been able to publish a book about their inspirational work. So, really, if you're looking for just a jam-packed powerhouse day full of strategies and motivation and just a really, really great way to kick off your winter semester, we would love for you to be able to join us. So that's What's Working. Ask me questions, whatever you have. And I believe that's all we have for now. Now, our webinar series is going to be taking a break for January because we're just a little bit inundated with getting ready for this conference and all the things at the beginning of the year. So look for us again, hopefully in February. Carol and I will be communicating on our social media channels as well as our newsletter. If you're not part of our Constant Contact newsletter, you can come to our website, sideledgeeducation.com, and sign up to get all the news and information about our upcoming webinars, workshops, where you'll be able to see us in conferences across the nation. And you have all of our social media channels and platforms, as well as our digital product, the visual non-glossary. Again, Carol and I, or anyone on the team, is just so happy to talk about any of these things with you. And we're super appreciative that you're here. I just want to echo that. I know how hard it is the last week of the school year. Don't look at my to-do list. Don't look at what's behind me in my kitchen, all the Christmas gifts, all the teacher gifts, all the end of the year things that are happening. We know it. We see you. So I just want to give everybody on this chat, our panelists and our participants included, a huge round of applause for being here. And thank you, Merica, so much for everything that you're doing to serve your district, your teachers, your leaders. It's really amazing. And
Thank you.
of course. And thank you, Larry, for being a part of this. And thank you, Carol, for just being the person that you are. All right. I think that we are coming to a close. In a little bit, Carol's going to be shutting down our recording, but please stay online with us to chat. And remember, you are going to be getting this webinar in replay. You will get a copy of the slides. You will get all of these links after we have a chance to get them together for you. Carol, do you have anything else?
No, all of the slides should be hyperlinked. If there are anything that isn't, you'll be getting an email directly from me. Please just email me back because I don't want you wasting any of your precious time looking for something. I know the link. I can send you the link right away that you're looking for. I want to echo what Anna said. Thank you so much to Merica, and thank you, Larry, both of you, so much for helping us get more free professional learning out there for very deserving education heroes that are here or watching in replay. We just appreciate everyone. Thanks again, Mark, behind the scenes, Mark Cotham, for helping with this webinar. And I do have this slide up right now that has the short link and the QR code. But again, if you're here and you're registered, within 24 hours, you should be getting an email with the recording, maybe 48 hours at the most, and the link to the slides. So I'll stop recording now, but I just want to say thank you to everybody again.
Thank you.
Great.